And welcome to the Lion Share podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Lyons. As always, this episode brought to you by MitchLyonsWealth.com, where you can get your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Got a great guest today, a man by the name of Collin Strachan, and I've learned a little bit about him on my days on LinkedIn, and he has a great story to tell. So I'd like to welcome him to the podcast. Hey, Collin, how's it going?
It's going good, Mitch. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, well, it's awesome to have you on. My wife and I visited Alaska this June for the first time ever. Took our in-laws up there, and I've been following you on LinkedIn for over a year now, at least, and seen a lot of the great images that you've shared with the internet folks. And so we were excited to go, and it did not disappoint. So I'd love to hear your story. I know it a little bit from following you, but I'd love for you to share with the listeners what took you to Alaska and the story behind that and just kind of how you got there, I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so the proximal cause is that we were traveling around in our Airstream for a number of years and started in the Southwest and around Utah and California and stuff like that, and then started to work our way further and further north. So we were in Wyoming, Montana, Washington, and my wife was following. That's Kendall. She was following some photographers doing elopements and stuff like that up in Alaska, and they're out on glaciers and pack rafting with icebergs, and it's just crazy stuff. And so she said, "Can we go to Alaska?" So we just said yes, and we wound up here. So step back a little bit from that. About 10 years ago, I was at a marketing agency in Dallas and enjoying that. Kendall was a nurse at a children's hospital, but I started just doing like photo video stuff on the side, boring corporate, interior design shoots or weddings or whatever it was. But fairly quickly, I was making more on weekends and in the evenings editing my own stuff than with that role. So with no real solid plan or enough safety net, I jumped, just believed in myself and wanted that freedom. And Kendall decided to get into travel nursing because I was doing a lot of remote work. So we went out to California for a summer, rented an apartment in LA, realized that renting apartments 3 months at a time was crazy, and bought an Airstream and like started traveling around, and then transitioned the photo and video work to the outdoor space. Which is where we spent a number of years, and now our business looks a little bit different than that, but that's what we were doing, is creating photo video stuff like you'd expect, kind of like Instagram photographers, and doing campaigns for outdoor gear brands and that type of stuff that would come together, and a travel life, before that market became super super saturated.
So just kind of living hand to mouth, month to month, moving around wherever the next job was. Is that
Yeah,
kind
for
of
a
kind of
little
what you were
while.
doing for
That's
a
that's
while?
that's what happened in 2020, and a little beyond that, just because the market got kind of crazy. So yeah, wouldn't recommend that part of it, because we went from doing fairly well to me starting my own business and her being in nursing to um kind of switching what we were doing and her quitting nursing, and then we had a bunch of contracts lined up, and then March of 2020 rolled around and they vaporized somehow. so
Things got a little
so
stressful, I
yeah,
imagine.
yeah, so we kind of just like went and hit off grid on our Airstream, and yeah, it was about a year of that. And then wound up in Alaska, and what happened is people really started to fall in love with the story and the visuals and that type of thing. And we also shifted our model more toward a production company and a focused on creating kind of higher production ads for brands in all kinds of spaces. So the spend is a little more and the return is a little more with our clients now, which is good. But yeah, it was just good old $500 puts, fuel in the truck and gets us down the road for a minute there.
So when you go to Alaska, and I guess is that when Every Mile Creative began in Alaska, or was that what it was called prior to that?
Nah, yeah. We named it that when we were traveling,
Okay,
because we were capturing every mile of
Every
the
Mile,
journey
yeah,
was the idea. So it doesn't fit as much anymore. We need to just
yeah.
officially change it to Alaska Production Company, but
There you go.
got to do the paperwork.
So you go to Alaska. I mean, it's this beautiful terrain. There's all kinds of opportunity for tremendous images, right? But
Yeah.
how at that point, I mean, how were you marketing? How were you gaining clientele
Yeah,
from the
we
early
were
days
doing.
on?
Kendall has about 20,000 followers on Instagram, so some work would come from there. We've never monetized that. It's always kind of been like a journal of what we do, but people would ask us, brands would come through that because of the quality of our work. And then just a huge amount of outbound email. So we'd just send like 1,000 emails every couple months to just every single marketing contact we could get um, in the outdoor space because that's where we were focused.
Hmm.
And it was a unique pitch because we always just led with our story and said, "Hey, we're living off grid in Alaska in an airstream. We're tucked into the mountains. The snow is falling." We left out that it was -20 and we were freezing our fingers off, but people jumped in and said, "Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, we'd love imagery around that." So we ended up landing some retainer clients like Land's End we worked with for a number of years and filled their autumn winter catalogs, and it was cool stuff. We fly out, we'll take a helicopter up into the mountains or onto a glacier in the middle of summer and we could shoot winter parkas because we're surrounded by snow and everything. So
Yeah.
it was just a unique advantage and continues to be just because those are so just such striking visuals. So yeah, cold email for about 5 years. And then in May of 2024, I went all in on LinkedIn and built a brand there. So it switched to inbound from there.
So, I mean, so how many years ago was it that you went to Alaska?
2021. So we're in our fifth winter
2021.
here. Yeah.
Okay. So, any plans to leave Alaska at this point? Do you think the old Airstream will fire up and head south at some point, or are you guys pretty entrenched in Alaska?
I can't imagine. I guess I could put it on a boat. So never say never. That's my most viral post ever is the things Kendall told me she would never do. She said she'd never live in a trailer. She'd never have a dog. She'd never be a boy mom and that we'd never be billionaires. So I'm grateful that she said we'll never be billionaires because of all the other stuff we've done. Uh,
Yeah, good karma there.
Yeah, Alaska is it has become home to us, and we're kind of like putting our roots down deeper. So we spend a little time out of the state every year visiting family and stuff like that. But for the foreseeable future, this is it. We enjoy it here.
So, over that 5-year time frame, I guess how's growth been in your business from year to
Yeah.
year, from the
So
COVID on, you know?
yeah, 30% year over year, and then this year will um like in the 18 months since I came to LinkedIn, I've now tripled what we're doing
Wow.
yearly. And this year will be like I think 230% more than last year or whatever. So it's gone a little more exponential.
Yeah.
And things are looking good for next year as well. So yeah.
And there's no other marketing tools you're using beyond LinkedIn?
No, no, not for this stuff. Well, there's one, and this hasn't made us a ton of money just because there's not a huge market for just like Alaska production. So we're one of the top ranked websites that went and built us a really good website. So our SEO is really good for Alaska production. So we get leads there. But most of our work is not people looking for Alaska production. It's we put a toilet on a helicopter for dude wipes and flew it out to an ice cave, and we do crazy stuff for like tech brands and things like that. Software. Imagine like saying like you don't warm up your pipeline. You're trying to prospect cold leads, and you're in an ice cave. Crazy ideas like that. So people come to us to really stand out and stop the scroll, not necessarily because they're Alaskan businesses.
Right.
So that work has come strictly from LinkedIn.
So let's talk about that. So, well, first off, let folks know where they can go because your imaging is amazing. I've really enjoyed seeing your pictures.
Yeah,
Obviously, they
thank
can
you.
go to LinkedIn, they can find you on LinkedIn, but your website, what's your website?
Yeah, my website is alaskaproductioncompany.com, but also you can just put in like copy and paste my name from this show description. Just put in like Collin Strachan, Alaska, and the website and the LinkedIn, and I think Kendall's Instagram and all of that will pop up because I've got a pretty good schema on my website. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
easy enough.
highly recommend because it's amazing, man. Your images are amazing. But I relate it to we visited Turks and Caicos about a year and a half ago, and
Yeah,
I remember saying when I saw the water down there, it's like, you know what? All those magazines you see where you think it's got to be photoshopped, and I'm like, it's not.
you
And
suddenly realize it's
Alaska
not.
was the same thing, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
looked at all those photos you put out, and we went up there, from train and from we took a plane, up to the big the Denali.
yeah,
So that was
yeah.
cool. But the views of the glaciers and all that, it's just simply amazing. So yeah, check it out at Alaska Productions Company, Alaska
Yeah,
Productions.
Alaska Production Company. So no S in there.
AlaskaProductionCompany.com. It's you won't
Yeah.
be disappointed. So, but anyway, you nearly doubled, tripled your business by going all in on LinkedIn, and that's fascinating to me, and I'm interested because I about the same time I kind of decided, you know what, I'm going to get I'm gonna get intentional about this, right?
Yeah.
And being an old codger, I was like, social media, who needs it, whatever. And but I kind of bought into it, and I've built over the last year and a half on LinkedIn, and gained clientele from it.
Yeah.
But more importantly, just gained a lot of interesting friends, right? Acquaintances,
Yeah.
people that I follow, and you included, and just kind of stay in touch with, and but talk about that, because you've become, beyond doing it for yourself. Now you're helping others. You got so good at it. People asking you for help, right? Or asking for the secret sauce. Talk about that. How did it start? Did you know what you're doing? Had you been on it before? And what was that progression to get where, okay, hey, maybe this makes sense to really stick with it.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I had a profile, and like the rest of us, you thought just, make your profile in there and describe what you do. So if someone happens to be stalking you right before they sign a contract, that there's a little proof or whatever it was. And it was my data source. So we'd go and we'd mine the people that we need to get emails for that were sending cold emails to. That was all I used it for years. I don't exactly remember the series of events that led the gears to start turning in my minds, but I know it had to do with I was listening to Jeb Blunt's podcast on sales, and he's talking about LinkedIn or whatever, and it just dawned on me the highest potential concentration of buyers for our services was right there. And the cool thing about LinkedIn is you can choose who your followers are. So if you go to Instagram or TikTok, you're gonna hope to go viral, and whoever follows you. You don't have nearly as much. You can spend money to reach the people that you want to reach, maybe, but on LinkedIn, people elect to tell you exactly what they do, what they're buying, where they're at professionally, which is fantastic. So I just thought, cool, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna spend time every day connecting with the people who are buying the services that I produce, and then talk about my services and try to make myself look like the most capable, knowledgeable, expert service provider. So I did that for 6 months. Connecting with people went great, but talking about my services and looking like the most capable, knowledgeable, whatever, that's what didn't resonate as much. So I really kind of tried to like take this educate path for about 6 months, and then I happened to write kind of more just like of an inspirational post reflecting on our journey building this business and some of my dreams, and that popped off. And then another friend came along. I don't know if you're connected with Darren McKee. I think maybe we met through Darren. Um, and he wrote another one for me, and I just had this click where I just went, oh, like the thing that really connects with people is the thing that sold in our emails for years, our story, and resilience and grit and tenacity and stick to itiveness and dreaming and accomplishing those things and having hard moments in the messy middle. And so that's what I kind of switched my message to, was like, how do I create the emotional experience that I'm having for people as much as possible? And it's really interesting because one, no one ever made a LinkedIn account thinking I want to follow some dude in Alaska. Yet that's what's really working. And two, a lot of people say that I'm relatable, but my life isn't. Like, the stuff that we've done and living off grid in a trailer in -20 and heating with wood that I chopped and all that type of stuff. But what I try to do is, like, in the way that I share stories about us, create a window into emotions that people can resonate with. So people know what it's like to have your back up against the wall, or people know what it's like to have a dream, or people know what it's like to be told that you can't do it or whatever. So I started leaning into that, and that's when my following started growing, and that's when people started asking, "How are you writing like this?" Or "This feels so authentic,"
Hmm.
whatever. There's an it to this here. So I the week that our daughter was born this spring, I went and launched a second business, which is a horrible idea. Never do that. But also trust your intuition when you're a new. So she's our second child. But I just put up a post and I was like, "Hey, people have been asking me, like it's always like the reason why I've had a few million impressions this year and why people are following along and stuff like that is I lead with my story rather than what I do. I talk about what I've done rather than what I do. Um, and I think I'm going to start teaching that some. So I'm thinking about like a weekly newsletter and a training call and a community around it, stuff like that. And I just created the worst possible, ugliest beehive landing page where I just slapped the text of that post in and just said, drop your email here if you'd be interested. And in like over the weekend, I got like 150 emails in there. So I thought, okay, this might be worth building here. So I started doing the newsletter, put it on school, and pretty naturally, I was just able to create a flywheel. I shared what I was doing. I share tips and stuff like that. People resonate. They hop in. They get results, and then they go around saying, "Hey, it's working because I." hopped into Colin's community. So that's what happened with it. So it was kind of by accident. And I've gone and I put a lot of structure to it to make it accessible and to make it easier for people to get started now and all of that. And that's working well. But yeah, people just came and asked for it. So what I try to do is encourage people. There's a lot of people selling success on LinkedIn, and if I don't resonate with you, like that's fine. What my shtick is I think you can grow on LinkedIn without talking about LinkedIn. You can share your story, you can share what you've done, you can inspire people from your perspective, and just be real and not have to do the guru thing.
Well, and
So yeah.
LinkedIn's changed so much, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, it's changing
it's
fast all
not
the
it's not
time.
the, it used to be the place you go to try to find a job, and then okay,
Yeah.
come back if you ever need it again, right?
Right.
It's so much more, and I'll still, and that's what I've learned too over the last year and a half is, I mean, maybe 15-20% of my stuff is financial related or retirement
Right.
planning related.
Right.
Those never get the reach that just
Hmm.
me telling my story, my background, or family, or whatever sports.
Yeah.
I'm a big sports guy with NFL
Yeah.
background and stuff, so that stuff resonates because people get that, and they like that part of the story, or the things they overcame to reach the NFL, and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Exactly.
That resonates way more, and people reach out to me because I feel like they know me, or and
Hmm.
they feel like they know me because they kind of do, because I've laid myself out there, and you do
Yeah.
the same thing. And I think people, and I'm sure you get these too, but I get the comments, oh, just stick to business, this isn't the forum for this kind of stuff. Well, you couldn't be more wrong, those people that are saying that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so much more than that now, and it's a forum to share yourself and let people get to know you, see behind the curtain, so to speak, right?
Yeah, my encouragement to people who feel ick about that or whatever it is that it's I try as much as possible when you're sharing about yourself, when I'm sharing about myself, it's not intended to be the Collin show. Um I have had a lot of times where I've put a vulnerable post up and then people come and say, "Hey, I've had a really similar experience to this, and thank you for giving a voice to this."
Hmm.
And so that's what I'm trying to do is encourage people, give voice to high moments, low moments, struggles, whatever it is that other people have had, so that they feel seen and heard to some degree. And that's what you can do. Sharing, life and your experience getting to the NFL. I'm not a sports ball guy, but I love it. So like we don't we don't
Sports small
we
guy.
don't like we don't have anything in common there,
Yeah.
which is okay. But the
The common the
discipline,
co-
the
yeah
hard-headedness,
the
the belief
commonality
in
is the
yourself,
the
all of
grit, right?
that.
It's the
Exactly.
it's the journey.
Exactly.
It's overcoming an
That's the
obstacle,
cool
and
thing.
that goes beyond sports. It goes beyond climbing mountains and jumping out of helicopters, or whatever
Yeah.
else. I mean, it's that's what I love, and that's why I love sports, and I focus so much on it. Obviously, I grew up playing sports, but
Yeah.
it's the microcosm of life, right? It translates to everybody's life in one way, shape,
Yeah.
or another. It's
Yeah.
all of us are overcoming stuff, and everybody's got a history that maybe isn't as bright as maybe they look now, right? That they overcome. So, and
Yeah.
and I've
Yeah.
talked to a number of folks on this show, and that's why I love it. Right, get folks from all walks of life, because there's more similarity than there are differences, really, when it comes down to it. So,
Yeah. 100%.
well, so going forward, I don't imagine you're going to slow down at all on in using LinkedIn. But what would be your biggest encouragement, I guess, for folks that are maybe on the fence? They're watching this and they're saying, "Yeah, I don't think it applies to my industry," or this, that, or the other thing. What encouragement or reasoning would you give them to say, what, give it a try? And
Yeah.
here's how. First of all, go to my go to my website
Yeah.
and learn. Honestly, I would say that, though, before I let you answer that. I mean, hey, study others, right? Take
Hmm.
advice from others. It's the quickest way. I tell my kids that I
Yeah.
have a family business, got kids working for me. I said, would you please just take my 25 years of experience and save yourself a
Hmm.
whole lot of junk and
Yes.
ugliness by just telling you. I'll tell you what doesn't work, and it'd save you a lot
Yeah.
of time. So, but same true of you. Helping people get their footing on LinkedIn. But for that person that's on the fence, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so I would say I have two cliches for you. One of them is what you just said. You can buy time, and you can buy it from someone who's invested the time, and you could save yourself 10 years of banging your head against the wall. I would
Big
love to
time.
go tell 20-year-old self me that, but he wouldn't listen, so I'm not going to waste my time. Number two is you rise to the level of your environment and not your goals. And if you're not totally sure what the correlation to your industry is, or you're not searching for a role or whatever it is, the income is nice, whatever it is. But just like connecting with you, the quality of the people that I've connected there, because most people who are trying to make an effort on there are entrepreneurs, or they're in sales, or they're in some way aspiring, and they're investing their time there. And you're not going to find that on the other social media platforms, where mostly people are just consuming entertainment. So you just show up, tell your story. Yeah, follow my thing. Go and look up Darren McKee. He's great at it. Matt Barker. Like, there's people who teach how to show up on LinkedIn, find your flavor. But if you do that and you treat it, because LinkedIn is like a neighborhood more than a stage, and you comment
Yeah.
and you send the messages and you find a way to put 45 minutes a day in it, you're gonna find that you have connections that you could not have imagined. So I feel like I'm very future proofed. One of my businesses is in an environment that is being highly disrupted by AI, and I think there's always going to be a market for high-end organic grass-fed content, but there might not be. The LinkedIn teaching business, whatever, I could. There's a million things that could happen, but I also really think that I have demonstrated my expertise and made connections with so many people in so many industries. Who are operating businesses, that I could pretty easily find myself a livelihood outside of what I'm doing. And so that's one thing that I really am proud of, is that just the quality of the people that I call colleagues now, even though we're online, because LinkedIn is really good at fostering community. Um, and, it sounds, maybe you're not on it and you're like, this is crazy. You people have like drunk the Kool-Aid. Um, and that's okay. If that's you, that's okay. But I would say, just think about that. And if you, aspiring to any entrepreneurial goals, to higher position, whatever it is, and you've heard that you're the result of the five people you spend the most time with, you can come and spend some time with people who are doing really incredible things and connect with them and make friends with them. Someone was messaging me today that he's a good friend of Eddie Vedder's. And I was just like,
Cool.
oh, how am I now 1 degree away from Eddie Vedder?
Yeah.
Like, there's just crazy stuff. So you never know what you're gonna find. So yeah, that's my response.
Yeah, that's really cool, and that's what I found. That's been my experience. I mean, I say I've gained clientele, which is great. I mean, there's some
Hmm.
of my best clients I would have never otherwise met. Period. Right. I mean, short of linking up through LinkedIn. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Which is cool. But like I said, I mean, I've made more friends than clients, and people that might lead to business down the road, or they know somebody that I can help, or whatever
yeah.
it is. But it's that connection, right? And I had an old coach that always used to say, "What you give will grow." I use that line a lot
Mm,
on commenting on people's stuff, because it's so
yeah.
true, man. What you give, you don't worry about what you're getting. Just keep giving, and
Hmm.
it grows, and it comes back to you one way or another. But yeah, so that's cool, man. I love your story. I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to tell it. Give your website one more time so people know how they can check you out.
Yeah, alaskaproductioncompany.com is the website, and then my LinkedIn has everything. So just put in Collin Strachan on LinkedIn, and I'm the guy that says Alaska.
Yeah, yeah, and you're fun to follow, and I appreciate it. And thanks for coming on, and I look forward to staying connected and seeing your work. And
Sure thing,
again,
man.
Colin Strawn, check him out on LinkedIn. Check out his website. Awesome stuff. Thanks again, Colin.
Of
And
course.
hope to see you do great things in the future. And those little ones are going to grow up to be great people as well. So I look forward to watching them grow in your posts.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the time.
So, hey, listen, folks, if you liked this episode, you enjoyed it, subscribe, like. Again, feel free to visit MitchLyonsWealth.com for all your retirement planning needs, including my book, Retirement Steel, the movie Retirement Deception, or sign up for our newsletter, and we appreciate it. All right, until next time, we'll take it easy, and we'll see you later. From the Lions Share, I'm Mitch Lyons. Over and out.